This is the Rolling with Tay podcast. I'm your host, Tasia, aka Tay, and this is episode 14. And my guest on this episode is Kevin. He's a competitive cyclist, yoga instructor, choreographer. He's also an executive and transformative coach, which he'll explain exactly what that is. Thank you for being a guest.
Thank you, Tay, for inviting me. I'm just looking to have fun today. I've been listening to your podcast, so I've been seeing the flow that you have, and why is everyone always having fun on your podcast? So I want to have fun too.
Listen, because they're rolling with Tay. They understand. That's it.
Right,
When you roll
right,
with me, you're gonna have a good time.
right, right. So I'm down.
Great. This is random, off topic. So I was searching Getty Images,
Hmm.
the site where you can search images and videos for your film, for whatever your blogs, whatever. It's a licensed site. Anyway, I'm searching on there for. I think I had to look for like New York City people, and who do I see? Someone who looks familiar. I don't know. I assume that you're on Getty Images. Okay. Because I was like, this man looks really familiar, and it was you.
I get around.
Okay, all right. That's what's up. Next time, I'm on the job. I'll definitely try to throw you in the footage.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
I gotta look out for you. So let's get into the interview. And can you briefly talk about what executive and transformative coach is?
Yeah, so I've been running a nonprofit. Well, in my former life, a former professional dancer for 20 years. And then after coming off tour, we wanted to create an organization in our community, which is East New York, Brooklyn. So we created a nonprofit arts organization, serving our community through arts and performing arts, and just a way of revitalizing East Brooklyn. And I've been doing that since 2006. And with that became a lot of like leadership classes, and then my mentors really challenging me. And then I think, really since 2020, outside of the pandemic, which was traumatic by itself, but I was also going through my own emotional stuff. And through coaching and extended coaching from my previous years and therapy, outborn, birth executive coach, because that's what I do with my staff. And I think once I leaned into those areas of vulnerability, it just unleashed another side of myself and staff, and just we all able to grow. So I never like to see myself as, the boss, but I do feel like I'm in charge of taking care of people.
That's really cool. And that you had that connection with the people that you worked with.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of companies could benefit from someone like you, because this work-life balance, the day and age that we're in now, the culture of hustling and working until it's too much. So to have people that you work under, understand and really take the time to foster the relationship that more than just the working relationship, if I'm saying that right. But I think it's really important that you do that.
Thank you for that. Yeah, if they do well, I do well. So
Right.
we all win.
Why would you right? Like why do some higher up, some bosses, just
Mhm.
work their employees, work their staff into the ground, and it's just like, you're right. If if we're okay, you're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I just don't understand it. And I work in the TV industry, and sometimes it's just so like, why you gotta act like that? Why why do you have to talk to people like that?
Well,
Why do
and
you have?
especially in those fast-paced moving industries like television and film and production assistants and production managers. Yeah, there's a lot of, scrapping for, the next level up. But I purposely use the word scrapping because it's a mindset, right? If I believe I have to scrap, then of course everybody else, I can't treat you great. I'm trying to get to this next level. And a lot of that mentality just comes from storytelling in your own mind or some shadow areas that just haven't had the ability to kind of develop yet. So then you kind of lead from this very underdeveloped space that is just, sometimes immature.
Yeah, I do see that a lot with some people in this industry that I'm in. I'm just like, it's crazy. Try to stay as positive as possible.
Yep.
Have quotes. Try to brighten people's day up because I don't want them messing up my day. I can't. We
I
have to
like
be
that
here.
one. I like that one.
Listen, we have to be here for 14 hours, sometimes 16 hours. No, no.
You're not gonna mess up my day on hour 2. No.
Right, exactly. We have 12 more hours to go. Okay, so what came first for you? Was it cycling, yoga, or dance?
Well, I've been a dancer since 10. I was a b-boy in the 80s.
Oh,
Ooh. And yeah, I did that from like I started at 10 and then I went to like 16. And I felt the fade of like break-in and pop-in, and I was like, oh no, what am I gonna do? And then like 17, 18, I just wasn't dancing, and then backup dancing became a thing in the videos, and then I wanted to get into that, and then I was doing that. And then I got introduced to people who were, in the studio life, and I came from the hood. I was like, why y'all know the same thing?
hmm
It was like, oh, it's right out of class. What class? And it was like, oh, well, it's jazz class at they were taking class at Alvin Ailey at the time, or taking class with different choreographers around the city, and it was like, oh, you should come to class. And I remember going to my first ballet class and I had on these high top sneakers. The ballet teacher was like, take your shoes off. And I was like, okay. Um, and I just really got introduced to some really amazing mentors and teachers. I got started a lot later in the typical game of dance, but because they believed in me and then challenged me, that ended up becoming a 20-year career. So dance was dance was first.
Dance was first. Okay, then what type of dance do
Hmm.
you prefer? Like, or the discipline, I guess you would say.
You're
You
right.
prefer the
Yeah,
prefer
yeah,
the
yeah.
most.
Yeah. So I grew up as a hip hopper, but then when I started training, it became, modern jazz, West African, classical ballet. But my probably my go-to and favorite was modern jazz. Was a discipline that I was more attracted to. But you know what? Now that we're talking, hold up, let me rewind the tape because I was riding my bike since 8, and that was just leisure, you know. But I remember like sneaking and riding to my cousin's house on the other side of Brooklyn, 10, 11. And then that just became a thing in my teenage years. Like they would literally meet up at my house, and back in the days when you had to pack tools in your back, like real tools, vice grips. Because I never bought a bike as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
We literally would ride around and look for someone who threw out a bike or threw out a frame, and you would take it back to like your friend's backyard or whatever, and you really just scoured the city for parts, like wheels, tires, and I probably made like 3 bikes as a teenager. I never bought a bike as a kid. And I just would like ride around the city, with my friends. We just had these adventures riding around the city as a kid. So you know what? To be honest with you, I I want to say that the bike came first, and then they just sort of like dance and cycling before the term cycling, was popular.
Okay. So back to dancing. What made you want to take it further and be a choreographer?
I think that was voice. Having something to say. I think one of my teachers had told me that, if you weren't an activist in the arts, then you weren't really an artist.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Ooh." I didn't know what to do with that. I was like, "Well, I know I have something to say or whatever." And just being under mentorship, you saw the things that became important to you, or maybe the other way around. You finally gave a moment to the things that were important to you. You just didn't give it any space prior to being challenged with that. So now that I had sort of like a platform, I could say whatever I want to say now. And that became sort of why dance became so relevant. Really a voice for change and community, and something I've always been in love with, but didn't know I was in love with it.
I admire you. I admire anyone who can dance. I am a two-step kind of girl.
Still
I,
dance, still dance.
I had two-step and a snap, right?
Hmm.
That
Hmm.
is my thing. And I think I like that because I can do that with anything. Any type of
Right,
music. It's just like,
right,
okay, okay.
right. We can get this 2-step on.
Right. Yeah. I wish I don't know. I just wish I had the rhythm. I wish I maybe would have taken it like my mom would have put me in dance or ballet.
Hmm.
But, I'm just my two-step with the snap over here. You know, I'm good
Well,
with
we
it.
always say, all right, so everyone has the ability to dance. It's all there. I think and the difference between the 2-step is just the social dances, which we all grew up on. But that's really the compelling factor, right? We dance because our families dance. So you went to a family party, or you went to a wedding, or you went to an event, and everybody did the same thing. Bye, baby. Love you back. That's my daughter leaving. And the social dances became sort of the identity of who we are. It was cultural. This is what we know, right? And it became home, and that was the thing that sort of bonded us together. And of course, and then now you have your codified dances, which you learn the structure of it. There's different types of modern dances. There's different styles of classical ballet. There's a million and one West African dances to learn.
Yes.
So the social dances is really what everything is birthed out of anyway. So um, that's who we are.
Okay. Okay. So I'm a social dancer.
There you go.
Okay. Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I thought it was, when people say, "Can you dance?" I'm like, "Nah, not really,"
Yep,
but I can.
you can.
I'm a social dancer.
There you go.
So you recently posted on your Instagram that you're um choreographing, or is that even a word?
Choreographing.
Choreographing. Damn it. Ah, man.
You're close. You were
Yes,
close.
yes, 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 yes.
Mhm.
I do know the I do know that word. Um um Recently, I think it was last month, right?
Hmm. It was, yeah, November, Stars of New York Dance. Yeah, it's an event that happens every year. It sort of mirrors the um what's that show?
Dance with the Stars.
Dancing with the Stars. So Dancing with the Stars, they have couples, and then you vote for your favorite couple, and that's the couple that wins. So this New York version, which is actually started by a friend of mine 14 years ago, um, she's really savvy, and she built an organization that attracted New York politicians. So council member, assemblymen, mayors, and then also entrepreneurs that are in the New York City area. She pairs them up with local choreographers who come from dance organizations in the New York City area. And so whatever couple wins, then the money that was raised goes to that dance school for scholarships for those dance students. So you'll get like, I mean, there was years ago they had uh, Bill De Blasio. He was there performing. We had what did we have this year? It was, oh man, so many people have gone through this door. But I was also, each year they have an opening number by all the students who come from all these different dance schools between Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan. And each year they set a new opening, and people really come to look for that before they start the couples dancing. So they asked me this year to be the rehearsal director and reset that piece on them, and I was, again, honored. I loved it. I miss teaching on that level.
Well, congratulations again
Thank you.
on that. That's really cool. Switching gears a little bit, let's
Okay.
go to let's go back to cycling.
Okay.
So you're cycling. So you're dancing and you're cycling at the same time, right? Like you mainly commuting, or you're doing it leisurely?
So I don't dance anymore. Not on a performing level. I haven't done that for quite some time.
No, but remember when you mentioned when I said, "Oh, what came first?" And then you're like, "Oh, actually, cycling."
Hmm.
So, um, were you like cycling to dance? Were you?
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Okay. Okay, going back.
yeah.
So I bought my first bike when I was 19. I actually put out the money for it. And then it got stolen.
Oh, damn.
So I didn't have the bike, and then I was on tour. So there wasn't any a big need to really get the bike, because I was in and out of town, or I was performing on some stage, and then I would be out of town. And so
Gotcha.
that was for a few years. And then I bought a bike off a friend of mine, and then that would take me to rehearsal, or I go to our office that we had many moons ago. Um, and then I wouldn't bring it back out for another like 3 months. And then I would do some commuting with it or leisurely riding. So yes, you're right. It was at that point in time, it was like leisurely, put it down, bring it back out every once in a while. Um, and then I had my daughters, and I got married, and then the bike didn't even resurface for a while.
So, what brought that bike back out? Or what? Yeah, like what was the event? What sparked your interest back into riding a bike?
I just pulled it back out. I was, I think because I wasn't performing and I just
Mm,
needed an outlet, and I just really just grabbed it one day. I was like, I'm gonna ride my bike. And then I just found some friends who were also riding their bike every now and then. I was like, well, we should ride a bike every now and then. This is before the big bike clubs
mm-hmm,
came out. Because this was like pre 2014. Yeah.
mm.
Um then I had put it down for a second. And then I said, no, I taught my two daughters how to ride their bike. I was like, because if you're gonna be with me, you gotta ride your bike. Because they were already dancing, but you're gonna ride your bike. So they were 6 and 8, 7 and 9, one of them. And I taught them both like back to back, clank clank. And then we would just take our rides. And that started building, and then I would ride with them sometimes, and I would ride with my friends. And then I started getting into the long rides with some other friends. Not really bike clubs yet. Um, and then I bought a race bike that I didn't know was going to turn into a sought after race bike. So that's when I bought my Specialized LA 2016 version race bike, I must say. And he was like, "Well, what do you want to do with the bike?" And I was like, "I'm going to race maybe one day. I don't know." He said, "Well, then, okay, let's look at some race bikes." And then I just would, every couple weeks I put some money down on it, and then I came back. That's before these insane prices came out for bikes, and that was 2016. And I raced that same bike today.
Okay. So your first race, when was that?
That was well, when I said I wanted to race was 2020. I was like, you know what? I'm actually going to say it out my mouth. I think I want to actually race before I leave this planet. I don't know what that means. I don't know what you got to do. I have no idea. But I think that goes in, I do have my yoga side, when you are oh, I lost you. Can you see
Oh,
me?
yes, I can see you. Yep.
Oh, my Microsoft Teams just did some weird thing. Um Yeah, when you speak things out into the universe and they start to manifest. So once I said that, and then I met a friend who was like, "Oh, well, I know a cycling coach." I was like, "They have them things?" And I was like, "Well, of course. I guess that makes sense." There's strength coaches, there's running coaches. Why wouldn't they have cycling coaches?
Yep.
And then he hit me up on Instagram, and it was 2020. I had nothing else to do.
Yeah.
So he was like, "Yeah, you'll work at home, and then I'll give you what you're gonna do at home." And I had some rollers here, so that was 2020, right? December 2020, and then we rolled into summer of 21, which was, I mean, he said it too. He was like, "Now it's not overnight." He said it's gonna take a couple years for you to be competitive, but jump into the race game and see what happens. And so summer of 21 was my first race.
Wow. Okay.
So my
Nice.
first crit race, right?
Nice. How are you feeling? Like I tell everyone this. I did say yes, maybe one day I will race, but I'm definitely not anywhere near there yet. I'm just saying it, putting out, speaking into existence.
There you
Maybe
go. You
one
just said it. Now it's gonna find its way to you.
day.
Oh, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't get any prep for racing. I mean, he was strength building me. He was trying to get my cardio up. He was trying to get my endurance wider. But I didn't know what I was doing. I was scared as hell. I was like, "Why am I doing this?" Jumping to the starting line, I was like, "Oh my god, I'm having a panic attack." Absolutely having a panic attack. I had just recently got with the cycling group that I ride with locally here in Brooklyn, Island Lunatics. And shout out to Island Lunatics.
Yeah.
And some of them and ride leader and my friend Ashton, they all came to the first race, and I got dropped immediately. But they say that's what is supposed to happen.
Yeah.
It's all part of the process. But yeah, it was insanely hard, and but I think that's the thing that I was looking for, right? I think once I sort of barrel through some of that emotional stuff, I was looking for, you know, just something that is on the other side. Like, what is on the other side of this energetic wall that sometimes gets placed in front of us through events, trauma, hurt, love, whatever. And I wanted to know what was on the other side. And I guess cycling was that thing to get me on the other side. And then so after that extremely hard thing that I chose to do to myself, I was like, "Yep, I'm coming back."
Um. Now you also um race gravel, right?
Cyclocross.
Cyclocross.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what it is. How do you prefer that over road racing?
You know, all right, so this is what happened. And my race director is probably going to see this, but or hear this. So 21, just started crit racing, and at the same time, a friend of mine told me there was a new race team, and they were looking for amateur racers. Team specifically developed for to showcase and celebrate Black and brown athletes, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm down with that. He was like, but it's a cyclocross team, and I was like, I've seen videos of that. That shit look hard. I was like, they on grass and stuff and mud. I don't know. I think I'm a pass. And it was like, no, you should really. It was like, look, you said you wanted to race. I was like, yeah, not that. I want to race crit. And he was like, look, but you'll be racing. You know, build up your endurance, your fitness, and then you can. No one's saying you can't race crit. And I was like, oh, okay, it's an idea. All right, I'll think about it. And then I think 2 weeks went by. He called me up. He was like, did you think about it? And I was like, I did, but I'm not really compelled. He was like, oh, come on, stop playing. Just go ahead and apply. I went to the website, applied. I think maybe 2 months went by, maybe 3 months went by. Didn't hear anything. And he was like, did you hear anything? I'm like, no, maybe I'm not a candidate. I don't know. And literally, I think the next week I got an email requesting an interview via Zoom. And we had the Zoom interview, and I got an email maybe like a day later saying, you're the perfect person. We would love a part of this team. We're offering you a spot on the team. It was fully sponsored, even the bikes. So all of the founding members got a brand new bike, sponsored by SRAM, Industry 9. Let me get it right because he'll have my head. SRAM, Industry 9 Squid Bikes, which sponsored the frame. And hold on. Who did the C post? I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna walk over there and see. I'm gonna get it. Yeah. So along with everything else, and his idea, Randy Locklear, was that he wanted to remove all the barriers for racing at the highest capacity that you could, as if this was a pro. And you just wanted to be in the space and bringing Black and brown athletes to the space that was commonly known for white male athletes. And so hence became the birthing of now cyclocross racing, which is the hardest thing I've ever done. But now I love it. I don't understand what happened. So I race both. I do crit racing and I race cyclocross.
I don't know if you saw the episode I did with Keisha from Major Knox.
I saw clips of it. Yep.
And she also races that. Cyclocross,
Yep.
right? Cyclocross.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'll
yeah.
be bigging her up on her page.
Yeah. And she was telling me about it, and definitely will go cheer you guys on. I'll be in the stands, but I don't know. I don't.
I don't blame people when they say I don't know about that. I don't blame you. It's hard. It's hard. But you know what you end up start really liking? Well, for me, what I ended up really liking about it was there's so many things to think about in cyclocross racing. I mean, along with crit racing. But with cyclocross, it's some of it is very heady. And it takes a physical skill to accomplish each one of those things. So you kind of set your mind on, I'm going to focus on doing this thing a little bit better. And then, you know what? I'm going to focus on this thing a little bit better. And then when you start seeing you're getting one thing a little better, you're like, oh, all right, well, I'm going to keep on going. And that's what ends up happening. And then before you know it, there's a wealth of information that you've been acquiring. And now you're doing a couple things, maybe just a little bit better than you did when you first started.
I'm a, let me know. Keep me posted when your neck races, and I have to see because I have to see with my eyes what this is about. But I would like to get into racing. But speaking with you, Keisha, Aja, you all doing other things than crit racing. You know what I'm saying? You're
Mhm.
doing other types of racing. So I may feel some type of way about crit racing because it's just my anxiety is just like But maybe there's another form of cycling, form of racing that I can do within the cycling um realm that
Yeah,
I may really like. I'm only seeing the crit racing, like that's
yeah,
what pops up on my feed. So now talking to you guys, I'm like, all right, well maybe let me look into this.
yeah. And I think with crit racing, everyone is obviously fearful of falling, um, because crashing in a crit race could hurt. But falling in a cyclocross race, I mean, you're gonna fall probably a good handful of times anyway, and it's grass, so dust yourself off and get back on the bike.
That's a great way to look at it. And she said as well, you're on grass, so I'm just like, okay, that
Yeah,
makes it a little better.
yeah.
I still don't want to fall, but that makes it a little better. Oh goodness! And when was your last race?
It was actually a gravel race because now I want to do more gravel because I went to
Mm,
Colorado to race a gravel race, but that was really my first gravel race this October. So my really last race was in Staten Island a couple weeks ago, November something. It was their first gravel race, so we were the inaugural crew going in
mm,
be a part of this relay gravel race. But I'm liking gravel racing. It just seems like a different a rendition of road racing. Uh,
yeah.
so yeah, my bike is now fitted out for gravel with my gravel tires. I'm just gonna leave it like that for the season until we come back to cyclocross. So I plan to get on a few gravel races for this upcoming season.
Okay, cool. So you have the one bike that you do all your races on.
I have two bikes. Well, I have
Two
three bikes,
two
but
bikes.
I have my road bike where I do my crit racing
Crit
on,
racing.
and then I have the cyclocross bike that I do cyclocross and gravel racing on.
Got you. And you just switch out the tires.
I switch up the tires. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay. All right. I'm gonna think about this, and
Think
then
about it.
I'm gonna think
Think about
about it. Then we'll see. Maybe you'll see me out there. I don't know.
it. I'll be like, yo, it's Tay.
Right? She said she was coming out.
Right, right, right.
Okay. So let's switch gears again.
Okay.
And yoga. You're a yoga instructor.
Hmm.
How'd you get into that?
I think they're all just interconnected. I don't think they're separate things. I think they just look like separate things, but they all do the same thing for me. I mean, as a dancer, I've always had to, really work on my body prior to concerts. But we spent so many hours in the studio, um, and doing your summer intensive, you would be in the dance studio from 8 to 6, Monday through Friday. You're not coming out. It's a job. So taking yoga was something that I used to do as part of taking care of the body then, and then that kind of went away. But I was looking for like this leadership development camp, workshop, something. And then a friend let me know about this one that was coming up. And I was like, oh, okay, let me look into it. And I applied to it. And then I I got in under scholarship. But their form of leadership was teaching you the tools of yoga. And you would learn the tools and be able to use that in your community or work life or family or whatever. They was like, you're gonna be certified. You can do whatever you want with your certification. But this is our leadership. This is how we see leadership. Oh, okay. I didn't really plan on that. That seems to be a lot of things I get into. They just kind of like
Yeah.
happen. But again, This was at the this was 20 this was 20 top of 21, right? So this is still that time of 2020. We're still in the pandemic. I'm still going through my emotional stuff, things that I needed, didn't know I needed, and it just became another resource that I'm like, wow, didn't know I need here. That was a 16-week course. That was really long.
Yeah.
And but so helpful to set me on a new course of the new version of me. So that's where
What's
yoga.
what's the what's the best thing about yoga? Like, speaking to someone who doesn't take yoga. Well, yes, I have. Let me go back. Wendy, my friend, I don't know if you met her. She's part of Black Girls Do Bike, but she is also a yoga instructor. So I have
Oh,
gone to
I've seen
some.
her. I've seen her online.
I have gone to some of her yoga classes, and I'm like, oh, this is really cool. I should. Whenever she has it, I try to attend. But
Hmm.
uh, before that, people would say yoga, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, and mention hot yoga, and explain what hot yoga meant to me, and I'm just like, what? Like, why do people do the hot yoga? I can understand the regular yoga, but it's like hot yoga. Oh. Like, what if you could describe yoga in one word? What would it be, or what does it mean to you? If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah, I totally get it. I mean, I could spend an hour. I'm I'm gonna make it real short though. I could spend an hour, but to me, it's care.
Mm,
Um, I have so many perspectives on yoga, and I'm just gonna talk about them by the perspective, right? So in my certification and teacher training, they kept asking us, which direction do you want to take your yoga? Do you want to take it from a physical kinetic perspective, or do you want to take it on an emotional, spiritual perspective? And I share both of those worlds, right? I'm an athlete. I think I understand the athletic world, and I want to do more things to enhance that world. But I also was in a deep need for this emotional liberation. And so some days I differed. Some days I'm like, no, I want to work on athletes. And then some days I just really needed like that warm blanket. And that became that. And then I would switch my ideas to wanting to take it from an emotional perspective. Um, but then somewhere maybe in the middle, like the eighth week, I was like, do I have to choose? Like I really like both perspectives. And it was like, no, you don't. We just keep asking that because we want to see, what keeps changing, from week to week. So there's this very physical development part that I love about it, um, that you don't get to do when you're in the gym.
mm,
You don't get to work on those internal muscles that way. There's this very emotional, liberating side that I don't think we get a chance to do a lot, especially as men. And those things that are buried, they don't get a chance to surface because, like you said, we're always hustling, we're always on the go, we're always moving, and you don't get a chance to address those issues. And then there is this Black male perspective that I am so for that I just don't think we have been given the opportunity. Let me say I have been given the opportunity to really dive into some of the deeper thoughts, to allow them to surface, to actually then deal with them. How do you deal with it? How do you come up with a solution for things? Um, and it's a space for me to just be. Right? I don't have to be anything else but me. I could just be in that space and play. I tell people all the time when I get a chance to play when I'm at home, and that's yoga I'm talking about. I feel like I step out of one universe and just into another, and then when it's over is when I come back. So I hope that answered your question.
yes, yes. I said that I want to start like in the morning stretching. I want to do some yoga. Um, And I think it's just like going to one of these classes. It's like I felt better afterwards. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
First of all, it was a workout. I'm like,
You're gonna work.
I'm like, damn, man.
I mean, I think there's this myth that yoga is all about just stretching and it's light and it's, breathing and all that is great. But I don't know if the average person understands how much work goes into a class that may be designed to strengthen you. And anything designed to strengthen you is going to be work. And we're not just breathing and we're not just light stretching. No.
I'm sweating at the end. And I'm like, damn, this is
Oh, you're
this
gonna be
was something. But like I said, I felt good, and I could just see why people do it. Before I just chalked it up to like, oh, they're just it's just stretching. And then,
Mhm.
like I said, when people start saying they're sitting in a room with it's 125 degrees and it's hot yoga, and I'm like, what? What? But now, like, I would like to go try hot yoga. I would like to try these different types forms of yoga, um,
Mhm.
just to see, like, what is this all about? And really, I think how also I look at yoga is like how you said care. I think it's like it's like oneness with yourself. Like you are like with your thoughts, and it's sort of like, to me, a little bit like meditating. It's just like, oh, okay, like the poses, you're trying to focus. It's like I'm not really thinking about really anything else, but I'm in the moment, I'm present, you know. That's how I look at yoga. Only the few times that I've done it. And it may change once I start, taking it more.
You had a perfect definition for it, though. That it is meditation, right? Because you're focusing on one thing,
Yeah.
and you're not being distracted by everything else going on in your life. And but there's so much science to it that just amazes me every day. I mean, every day I get impressed with it. From my coaches understanding the science of silence in the body, and
Mm,
my coaches are taking it from a very scientific perspective on just working on their athletes. I'm comparing it to yoga, like, oh, yep, that makes sense. But I mean, even some of the simplest ailments that we develop, as we get older, and part of our teacher training was every Wednesday was a lecture class with a medical doctor, and he did a lot of comparisons. And he said the number one thing that could cure a lot of the ailments was rest.
mm, mhm,
And so many things that our bodies are trying to combat on its own, because it does have the power to do it. But because we live in a society that everything is just on the go and it's running, it's running, it's running, it's running, we don't give our bodies a chance to recover and to be able to garner enough of the elements to combat the things that are going on in your body.
mm,
And rest is one of the main key elements. And when I say rest, doesn't mean that, we need to be sleeping, but even bringing the body to stillness is
mhm,
where a lot of the magic happens. So the science side says when the body's at rest, stillness is when it can detoxify itself,
mm,
is when it can repair muscles,
mhm,
is when it can pull all the toxins out, reduce your blood sugar. On the emotional side is when the stress comes down. You can think clearly. Your sense of perception is different. If you believe you're in danger, then you're in danger.
mhm,
And your body's only going to follow what your mind thinks. So if you're armed up, ready to fight or ready to survive, then your body goes into survival mode. But if you are at rest and you're breathing and oxygen is doing what it's supposed to do and you're thinking differently, then your body says, okay, you're good to go. Like sometimes I'm saying it in such a simplistic way,
Mm-hmm.
not to discredit anyone's life experience, because we all go through our stuff, but perception changes when you are at rest and things don't look as crazy as it may have if you hadn't. So yeah, I'm impressed with it every day.
Yeah. You know, when people say sleep on it, sleep on it. Like you're thinking too much, right? You
Right,
just
right. Like take a minute, sleep on it.
right. Yeah.
Right.
And yeah, take a walk. Just go and just
Breathe it out.
yeah. that
Take,
that
take a
that's
breath.
it.
Come on back after. That's a real thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I did this observation one time, and this was I have a physical response to it, and then I have this emotional response. And I was getting a end of season massage, and it was a deep tissue massage to break up any scar tissue that I developed during the race season. And she was on my back, and she was like, "Okay, I read your profile. I know you're an athlete, but this is insane." And your back is just like it's just full of knots. She was like, "Oh my god." She was like, you have to pay more attention when your body's trying to speak to you. She was like, it doesn't speak English, right? You have to be aware. I was like, I feel like I am. I do yoga. Like it was like, I understand that. And she was like, and you may be on a practice that's habitual, but you still may be missing some things. And then after that, I was like, I thought back to when I first was at the start line, and it happens now, but now I understand it more on purpose. So your bike computer is on your handlebars, and this is like the first times I was at the starting line, and the officials were just doing their speech, and I'm just sitting there watching the computer, watching my heart rate go from like 99 to like 130.
Mm.
Just watching it rise. I'm not doing anything. I'm just standing there. But because he's talking and he's saying, he's just doing the announcements. Have a safe race. On turn 2, there's a yellow cone there. Be mindful of the cone. He's just giving the instructions. But because my mind knows we're about to go to battle or we need to armor up, then it's telling the body, armor up. And I thought back to that sister for the deep tissue massage. And when your body's trying to communicate to you. And then I thought about the thing that I love, which is perception. And if we use that in every day, right? Because nothing was really happening at the moment. I'm just standing there. But because my mind is perceiving this as a dangerous, or when I say dangerous, it's like armor up. We're about to fight.
Yep.
It's like, all right, we're about to fight. Okay. I mean, this could be any person, this could be any situation, this could be any relationship, this could be any job, this could be anything. If we say we're about to fight, okay. And I'm using fight lightly, right? But perception is such a thing. And I think that was probably one of the largest lessons that I learned from my yoga practice was perception and how do we see things. I think the other perception or myth is that they think that that especially males in yoga are just like just really light people, very easygoing, nothing really bothers them. And to the majority of the day, that's probably true. But the other side is that I've heard this in jokingly though. They're like, yeah, but can you save the day when it's time? Can you like handle when it's time to handle business? And I think that's a myth right there too, because I think the term of when you got to handle business is I would like to reserve that energy for the people who are underdeveloped. Because if you're ready to confront me for whatever, or if there has to be a confrontation, then you obviously have some growing to do.
Mhm.
So I'd rather leave that energy for the people who are underdeveloped versus the people who are developed a little bit higher. So I don't need to pull that card. So you may be seeing more of that because maybe we're on the same frequency. But should we not, then maybe I have to turn the card. That's just an offer. Say,
So, what advice would you give, especially to men who are on the fence about yoga? Like, oh, should I try it? Because it is marketed, and it probably is predominantly um, women dominate yoga
yeah,
studios. You know what I'm saying? So, what advice would you give to a man, specifically maybe a black man? Like, yo, try it. This is why you should try it.
I would say, well, from two perspectives, right?
Mhm.
We all want to work on our bodies. We all want to get stronger. Definitely try yoga to work on some muscles from an internal perspective. We all want to work on our bodies from an organ perspective too. Well, I'm saying we all, but maybe we don't know yet. And we want our organs to be functioning properly. But probably the more important thing I think that I always reflect back to is this sort of like living on the grind, and I'm a grinder, and I can sleep when I'm dead. I look, that thing is out the door.
Exactly.
Um, but as black male children, I believe that the idea of developing an emotionally progressive child into a young man wasn't the picture, especially when I was growing up. Maybe now starting,
Mhm.
but if they want to get through some versions of themselves or develop in a very different way or see who they're supposed to be, then that's definitely a way to sort of uncover, be courageous that way and uncover some of the deeper sides to yourself. There we go. I hope this is recording because I gotta
I'll write
send,
that down.
send me the recording for that one. I need to write that down.
That's your caption right there.
Right, right. I'm actually getting ready to start my 5 week yoga for a cyclist series. It's gonna start in January. I partnered with the Brooklyn Wellness Center in Bedford Stuyvesant. Bed-Stuy. That's going to start in January. So I'm really going to be pushing for men to come take the class. Um, everybody's welcome, but I really want my brothers to kind of jump in there and see what this side of taking care of themselves looks like.
I definitely post that. Maybe I'll come out to Brooklyn. I live in the Bronx, so
Ooh, you up there, up in the Bronx, to the people are fresh. There was one DJ. Taking you back. That's going way back.
yeah. And last year you did something with Black Girls Do Bike, right?
Oh yeah, we did yoga cyclists for Black Coastal Bike. I did their 6 week series. Lisa already called me, so we're gonna do that again. So I'll have two series going on. I'm gonna do my 5 week series with my Brooklyn folk, and I'll do a 6 week series with people who wanna travel up to Manhattan.
Probably do the Manhattan.
I'll see you there. I'll see you
I'll try to do the Manhattan one. I don't know about going to Brooklyn. That's that's really dope that you're doing that, and um, hope men do go and participate. So, guys, if you're listening, make sure you sign up.
Come true. Come true.
All right. What advice would you give to inspiring competitive cyclists, whether it be cyclocross, gravel, crit racing, enduro, any type? What advice would you give to?
Well, for the record, I'm still an aspiring
Ah!
competitive cyclist. So, I can only speak from experience. This has probably been my first real season. Um, I think my 21 season was me just jumping in there with a bit of coaching. And then the year 22 was I had a bunch of oral surgeries, so I couldn't even like really finish my training. So when I started the summer of crit racing, I still just getting dropped. But now the 22 into 23, I had a full off season training, and I joined a crit team out of Philly. Right, right. So wait, let me shout out my two teams because they'll kill me. So crit team out in Philly, SOAR Foundation Racing, SOAR, um, and an amazing family, and that became my crit life of understanding strategy, and how to exist in the race. And I did a whole season of crit racing, and I absolutely loved it. I'll be back next year. And then my cyclocross family, that would be Team BE, be yourself. um, and that's the team that I've been more racing on ever since the fall season of September. But with those two teams together, I've done a lot. So from a continuing aspiring crit and cyclocross racer to upcoming, maybe you haven't started racing yet, and you want to get into racing. I would say there's never a perfect day to start. Just start. Just start. You can't ever be trained enough. You can't ever have the right bike enough. You can't wait until no, just start. You'll learn as you go. Yep. I didn't really want to give them the credit right there, but
Give you the credit, but then I'm just thinking like, just
right,
do
right,
it. Just
right,
just go ahead. Just
right.
start.
Just start.
Do you have to be a part of a team for cyclocross? Can I do it as an individual, or
Yeah.
is it okay? So I can do it as an individual, but would you recommend team joining a team?
I would recommend whatever's available to you, right? So if there are no teams around and you want to start racing, then go ahead and start racing. If you want to search for a team that's in your area, then go ahead and do that, as well, um, because you'll gain a bunch of knowledge there too. But I just don't want people to say, "Well, I can't start until I find a team."
Find a team.
Like whatever's available to you. If you know of races that you would like to get into, go ahead, jump in. You know, and then on the way while you're doing it, you want to look for a team and a family to support you. Yeah, I will never turn that down because you'll probably learn even more.
I like that. Yeah, just do it. Just, just go ahead, take that leap.
Do it. Press that
And,
button.
right, and if you, like you said, if there's a team, because I'm be honest, like I may look into it, and I'm like, oh, there's no team around me. Oh, I'm not gonna do it. But don't use that as an excuse.
Right,
You
right.
can still do it as an individual. So try it out, and then, like you said, if you come across, you do it, and then you come across a team and join a team. But
I think Keisha started as an individual too. I think her first couple
yeah,
races.
yeah, I think she did.
Yeah.
That's okay. All right. You know what? I'm gonna do some more research.
Okay.
I'm gonna look into it. Like
Okay.
I did see one. I told Keisha I saw one video and I was like, "What the hell is that?
What is
What
that?
the hell is going on?" But I'm gonna look at some more. And like I said, I think I need to see it in person because that's when it's just like, oh snap! And then especially seeing someone I know do it, I'm like, oh, same thing with gravel, same thing with everything. Now, one the crit racing. I wasn't like, hey, let me.
Like, I'll watch that one. I'll watch that one.
I'll watch that. I'll with my camera record, but ooh. But okay, yeah, yes, yes. Are you going to do your last year? I think it was last year you did your 100 push-up challenge.
Oh, that was a few of us. That was Andre Campbell from Carbon 6 Racing, and a few of us on the East Coast. We all just sort of jumped in there. So, right. And different people started it. So he started it, and then I jumped in on him, and then some East Coast people jumped in with me. And it was around this time we started it last year. 100 push-ups a day. Yeah, I got to get in the mindset to start that. And you can spread it out, right? You know, you can spread it out to 20 now, 20 a little bit later. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I got inspired a little bit by your 100 push-ups a day, right? Around this time, I started today doing 1,000 jump rope skips. So I'm gonna do that until the 2nd of January.
Okay.
I don't know why, but I was just like, oh, let me challenge myself. Let me do something.
Do you do 1,000 in one setting?
Yeah, like I'll take a break, but I'm not gonna do
Like,
like
how many before you do a break?
until I get tired, until I stop. I don't
What's that,
have
like
a
100?
I could probably do like 150, 200 without like I'm just like, okay, well, let me stop.
Let me see. What's the tempo for that? It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. That's like one a second. That's like one. So so that's like 60 jumps a minute. Uh, 30. Sorry, 305 minutes.
Yeah. They say it should take you about 8 to 15 minutes to complete, right?
1,000.
Yeah. And today it took me, I think, like 10:55.
Well, I just said 305 minutes, so then 10 minutes would be like 600. So maybe it's not one a second. Maybe it's a little faster than a second. Okay, I'm just trying to do the math to see how long does that take. Well, your endurance is high already, so you can start racing.
Well, you know what? I'm like, oh, let me build my endurance up, right? Let me do
Mhm.
something. And I got a jump rope because when I travel, I'm like, what can I do, right? When I'm at work, this is my take a walk. This is my all right, jump rope. This is in the morning, jump rope. You know how they say exercise and
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
That's it. Like, okay, let me jump rope. And then I even got some people, coworkers involved, like, oh, let me jump. I'm like, go ahead. And it's like, to me, it's like how cycling was when I was a kid. It's like how skating was when I was a kid, right? Even though I do that now, it has that same type of effect, the jump rope, because it's like unless you are working out at a gym, not too many people are jumping rope in an office. So it's like, oh yeah,
No.
let me jump rope, let me, and it's like it's great to see. So I'm like, all right, let me do this for these 14 days. Let's see if I can uh I can accomplish it. I'm not gonna lie. I woke up this morning. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do this thing, and I didn't know the date. I didn't know the date. I'm thinking next week is New Year, so I was like, I got, I'm like, nope. But I already committed to it. I said it.
All right.
I'm gonna do it, and so that's my
Now,
challenge.
well, you didn't say yourself you had to do it in one sitting.
Right,
So
I didn't. Right, so I could break it up.
you could break it up.
I could break it up. I didn't say any. Right, you're right. I didn't. I just said day. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Okay, now I feel like I gotta start the push-ups again.
I'm just saying. Oh man. Are there any final words?
I feel like we covered so much. It's been such a warm conversation. Um, and if you've seen some of my postings, it's always about some kind of enlightenment or perspective. um, I'm always looking for that, especially whenever we feel like we're reaching a new chapter in our lives. And how do we cross that threshold? Sometimes that threshold needs a little burn to it in order to get us on to the other side. But it's all temporary. So yeah, I'm just appreciative of this moment, and hope that you get more conversations like this that we can all be a part of, and we can get some insight from everyone around you in some type of endurance sport or something.
Yeah, I like that. I hope as well.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being a guest, taking the time out to talk to me. Um, tell me a little bit more about cyclocross racing and yoga, um, and letting me know I'm a social dancer, right?
You're a social dancer, right? we all are social dancers.
Yes. But I'm telling everybody that now. Like, hey, you know how to dance? Yeah, I'm a social dancer. Yeah,
Yeah,
I know
yeah,
how to.
right, right.
Yeah.
I'll give you a bus stop.
Exactly. Oh. Oh gosh. Yeah, that was a good one. Well, thank you again for being a guest.
Thank you, Tay.
Welcome. This is the Rolling with Tay podcast. I'm your host, Tasia, aka Tay, and thanks for listening and watching.